Hello everyone, it's Rafael Gutierrez again. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about sources and what they are. The reason is we have a lot of different things going out there. I honestly believe that there is nobody who wants to see people getting sick. I know that some people have made comments which really are probably just uneducated, saying that, well, it only affects older people, which sounds really cold when they say it. And I honestly believe in their hearts they're not meaning, hey, let's let the old people die, even though that's what it comes out sounding like. I just think that they don't have the vocabulary to properly say what they want to say. And even with the right vocabulary, a lot of times we say the wrong things. First thing I'm going to talk about is not all sources are the same. Recently, there was actually one video I was watching, someone asked me about, where they were talking about the coronavirus, but all the data that they actually used was from the flu. And there's a big difference between flu and coronavirus. One of the big things is the coronavirus is actually a special family of viruses. Its DNA it actually doesn't have DNA, it has RNA, and it's usually what's called a positive strand DNA. The virus that causes the flu is called the orthomyxovirus. Completely different virus, has almost nothing to do with the coronavirus. It's actually called the orthomyxovirus. You do have a paramyxovirus as well, which is similar. They call it the parainfluenza virus. And these are negative stranded RNA viruses. They're a little different. I'm not going to go into all the structures, but just based on this, one of them uses one type of RNA. The other one uses the opposite strand of RNA. So it would be like comparing a house cat to a snake. Yes, they're both doing certain things, but they're completely different. If you feel that there's a big similarity, well, actually, to be honest, these two viruses have less in common than a house cat and a snake. So we'll just get to that. Now, big thing I keep on seeing is a lot of people keep on talking about how Sweden is doing great because they only have, and I've got the numbers here for today, 2,669 deaths. Now that will go up as time goes on. And one thing to actually look at is they have a population of 10 million. Now, I would actually tell you, you can't compare, people will say you can't compare apples to oranges, and I actually disagree. I think you can, but you have to break it down so you actually know what you're comparing. For instance, if you're comparing apples and oranges, well, are we talking about the sugar content? Are we talking about vitamins? Are we talking about fiber? And by breaking it down and getting numbers, we can actually see what this is based on serving size based on calories. Now with this, the Sweden doing great. Well, 2,769 sounds a lot better than the US, which has 69,000, almost 70,000 deaths. But then we have to look at the population. Population of Sweden is 10 million, roughly. I rounded up. The population of the US, 331 million. Now, if we actually look at the deaths of Sweden compared to the US per million, we'd actually use some numbers, break them down, we find that Sweden has about 277 deaths per million. The US total, including places like New York City, which have a lot, the US has 210 deaths per million, roughly. Now, if we had the same deaths per million as Sweden, we'd have actually a huge number I calculated earlier, but I can't remember where I found it. But I actually want to show you something else that's different. So instead of looking at such a big population and breaking it down, we can actually look at individual states. We know New York will actually be really high because of ground zero. I don't know how Florida or Louisiana will be. They had a lot of issues. Chicago had a lot of issues as well, but most people are usually focusing on New York. Illinois, I should say. But I'm actually going to look at us, people in my state, California. California has 30 million people. We're talking 3 times the population size of Sweden. And we actually have, in California, less deaths than in Sweden. Now, this is actually not a fair comparison because California has a couple cities, I think 3 cities, that have populations of over 2 million. Sweden, their biggest county, is about 1.05 million. And so there is only one big city when we're talking about it. And when we look at the numbers of California versus Sweden, Sweden has 2,769 deaths, and they have 10 million people. California has 2,172 for 30 million. So even though California has 3 times the population of Sweden and more cities over 1 million, we have less deaths for coronavirus. And here's actually the interesting thing. If we actually break it down to how many deaths per million, Sweden, again, like I said, it's 277 deaths per million. California comes down to 72 deaths per million. That's actually a huge difference. So one of the big things that actually does happen is when we're actually comparing these, we're seeing that even a place like California that has large cities has less deaths from coronavirus than Sweden, which people are touting as they didn't do anything, and look how great their numbers are. Their numbers are horrible compared if we actually compare with the population. I actually decided to have fun and look at what the death rate in San Diego is. I know it sounds really creepy, but I did actually want to see what the death rate in San Diego is. And San Diego, we had 139 deaths in San Diego, and we have a population of 3 million. Like I said, one of our cities has 3 times the population of Sweden's largest city. And when I actually did the math, San Diego has about 46 deaths per million. Again, so we're actually, if we compare the city of San Diego, which, yes, it's a lot smaller, we're actually getting numbers that are far below where Sweden is. California, you're talking about 3 times less deaths than Sweden. These are actually numbers that you can go online, you can find what the numbers are, and you can see that, there are things that are actually working for California, for the US in general. Like I said, when you start looking at New York City, you do have huge numbers. You got to remember the population density. In New York City, the transient population, the people coming in and out of the city. And so that actually ends up having a lot of different factors. But as a whole, what US has done has been better than what Sweden is. Actually, that's one thing that I'm actually surprised that nobody has been saying, look, we're doing better than the country that other people are touting as this is a great thing. Now, that said, there are actually a lot of things that are happening. A lot of people are listening to the wrong sources. You actually have people, I saw 2 doctors from San Bernardino who, like I said, they used data which included influenza virus. And the influenza virus, again, has nothing to do with coronavirus, not even in the same family. If a source you're using talks about the influenza virus and the flu, or says that the coronavirus is a flu, those are a bunch of idiots who, well, you have a choice whether you want to listen to an imbecile or someone who understands the difference between one family of viruses and another. If someone's telling you, for instance, that a cat strangled a deer in Florida, and you look at a picture and it's some sort of snake, well, that's a source you're actually believing. You're believing someone who doesn't know the difference between a cat and a snake. That's what it comes down to. Now, I also want to talk about best and worst case scenarios. Now, a lot of people think we need to open the economy as soon as possible for people to make money. Like I said, these are not bad people. These are people who are looking at one set of things which are important. But one of the things to actually notice is this. People are going to, when the economy opens, if it's not done properly, if it's not done at the right time, you're going to end up having a huge rise in infection rates. How do we know if it's the right time? Well, we do have experts. We actually have the CDC, and I would recommend you go on their website and read what they're telling you. We do have the American Medical Association. Go on their website and read what they're telling you. Don't listen to someone like me, just like me, who's on Facebook and saying random things. You have experts out there. Well, though I will say, I do have an MD. I did teach microbiology. I've taught infectious diseases to physician assistants. I've actually taught pretty much every level of college you could think of. And you can look me up. I have a lot of bad reviews on Rate My Professor. I saw some really funny ones and good ones. But not all sources are the same. Now, let me give you the best case scenario if we open early. The best case scenario is this. People open their businesses. Now, let's say someone owns a restaurant. They decided to open the restaurant early. It's not, you can't just open something and boom, hey, it's open, we're going to go. First of all, they probably haven't been ordering food because they've waited to see when this is open. So once it's announced, they do have to pay money to get new supplies, food, let's say. If you have a sit-down location, you got to make sure the plumbing is working, and you may have to pay a plumber to come in and make sure the plumbing is working. You got to remember, you haven't been there for a while, and so problems can be accumulating. Electrical things can actually go wrong. So you have to actually fix everything before someone truly opens. Now, you have money you're going to pay to start up. It's going to be a lot. It is going to be a lot of money, but when you first open it, most people who are rational won't want to be the first ones going out to sitting next to someone who may have the coronavirus. You want to go a little slow. I personally am going to wait 2 weeks to see how the infection rates actually go up. I don't see why anyone wouldn't do that. You wait 2 weeks, if you see that the infectious rates and death rates are going up, hey, you know what? Risk your own life, right? So that's just me. So the thing is, if they open tomorrow, it's May, they've actually said, we actually are expecting it to be safe in August, is what most things I've read. So May, June, July, August, we're saving 3 months. May, June, July, 3 months. You open up in 3 months and people start trickling in. Maybe by November, you actually have a good clientele coming back just in time for Christmas, where people are going to be excited about maybe selling, or maybe not. Maybe people are going to actually still be suffering from this. I mean, there's a lot of people who've lost a lot from the virus economically, and it'll take a while to get things going again. So it may be that the Christmas season, the November, December season, doesn't go up as much as we can, and it will be something to reflect. Let's take the worst case scenario of opening early. So right now it's May. So let's say we all open up all our restaurants in May. And let's say we open up, people come in and start getting sick. We have an increase. So remember, this technically started in, most people say, January or February, but let's say March. So we were March, April, and May, 3 months. Those 3 months are wiped out. If the coronavirus comes in, and it comes in hard or even harder, that means we lost those 3 months. If we have to go back into an isolation, we would have those 3 months and then whatever comes next. That means that restaurants may open in November and December. People would be less likely to go out because, well, they're going to want to make sure that it is safe. Again, me, as soon as it opens, I'm waiting 2 weeks, looking at the data. If the data shows that, hey, it's safe, I'm going out. If it shows that it's not safe, I'm staying in. I'm going to use people who want to be the first ones out as my guinea pigs. Sorry, there's something called opportunistic experimentation. This is it. If I see people go out and they get sick, why am I going to risk myself? Just the way I think. So those are the two big scenarios. In one, the benefit is maybe by November we're open. The other, maybe we don't open until November, and it destroys pretty much the busiest time for restaurants and shopping. Now, let's go the other way. Let's say what most people are saying. Right now, it's not quite the time. Maybe some people are saying probably by August it will be. Probably sooner. If we start looking at the numbers and we continue seeing, instead of a gradual increase, which we are actually seeing, the beginning of the plateau, but it's still going up. If you plot the numbers, you'll actually see that it's actually bouncing around a common set point, which is still going up. So let's say we decide we're going to wait until we start seeing that plateau and maybe even start coming down a little. Let's say it's in August. Let's say it's before August. Let's go with August, just for fun. So in August, things open up. Like I said, people like me, people who actually wonder about, is it safe for me? And by the way, I don't really have any health problems. My biggest thing is I'm over 45, which puts me close to a high risk. So I wait and I watch to see if people get sick. In August, people don't get sick the first 2 weeks of August, and so now I start coming out. Now, the best case scenario, if we actually waited, is this: August, September, November. We have 2 months to get ready for customers coming in. We actually have the Christmas season, that pretty much the Christmas spending season, winter spending season, if you like, for open, and it's going to be safe. And people by then are not going to be worried about getting the coronavirus. Flu, wait, no, it is about the same time for that, but that's one of the big things that is important. Now, let's take the worst case scenario. Let's say that we open in August, and we could have opened 2 months ago. We don't know if we could, but we did. We waited. What did we lose? Well, we lost a couple months of season of the pretty much spending seasons, which are not the biggest ones. So it pretty much wouldn't make that big of a difference. Now you think about this. Doesn't make too much of a difference. You're already losing money if you own a business by just having to pay certain fees that you would have anyways, but you're not paying for materials. That's actually the big one. Like I said, it will hurt the people who need jobs and need to work. That's another factor. But the question I would ask someone is this: how much is a check worth compared to your life, or the life of your mother, or the life of your grandmother, or if you have kids, the life of your child? Especially if you have a newborn, yes, those are expensive. I don't have one of my own, but I've seen the cost. Is your child's life or your neighbor's child's life worth a paycheck? Only you can answer that. But know that if you do something which gets that child sick, you are responsible for it. Not obviously, morally, you are responsible for that child's death. So think about that. Now, I'm going to go into something else I heard, which I just wanted to hit someone with a shovel. There was a gentleman who claimed to be a medical expert. I don't know what he was a medical expert in, but this person didn't understand basic epidemiology. He was saying the way to get a strong immune system is to go out and put dirt in your mouth and get dirty. And I was horrified because the numbers show things completely different. What I mean by that is this. Pretty much plumbing and electrical don't become common in the US until about 1920s. If you look at life expectancy before then, you actually have really low life expectancy. So I mean, for most of human history, I'll tell you, life expectancy was about 30, 35 years. 1920s, you do have a bit of a jump. You actually do start seeing more and more longer life expectancy. 1920 life expectancy is about 60 years. Can't remember the exact, probably like 62. And as we go on, as our infrastructure gets better, as we get less involved with viruses, with bacteria in the environment, we live longer. Now, some people say yes, but these kids are not as strong as the kids who live in filth. Well, let's be honest. Let's look at places that have a lot of filth. What's their childhood mortality rate like? It's pretty horrible. You do not want to live in a place, if you have kids, you do not want to live in a place where fecal matter is running all over the place. Thinking that you're going to build up your immune system, make it strong by introducing yourself to a bunch of viruses and bacteria doesn't make your immune system stronger. What it does is it actually makes you weaker and shorten your immune system. It actually taxes your immune system and your body, causing you to die sooner. That's why if you look at here's the interesting thing. If you look at the places where people live longer, happier, healthier lives, they all have a high level of hygiene. Okinawa, for those of you who practice karate, know that this is the world main blue zone. And think of how much cleaning is done when you get there. It's pretty. Japan in general is a great place to go if you're OC. My fiance is actually one of these people. She's going to love it there. But the big thing is this. The whole idea of getting yourself sick so you have a stronger immune system is stupid. Anyone who says that has not looked at the data. Actually, like I said, you have childhood mortality rates that show you that. You have life expectancies that show you that. And you have you don't have any expert who will say, yes, go put a bag of fecal matter in your mouth and it'll make you stronger. That's not the way it works. There are certain viruses that we do have vaccines up for, which are meant to keep you from getting sick for something that can kill you. So again, big thing. Coronavirus is has a family of viruses. They are what's called a positive strand RNA virus. Orthomyxovirus is the flu. It's a negative strand RNA virus. If someone's giving you medical advice and they're saying that the flu and the coronavirus are the same thing, these people are idiots. But it's your choice to whether you listen to someone or not. Now, I actually will say I am watching what the numbers do before I decide to do a lot of things I enjoy doing. For instance, I'm Latino, so this is my library tam, and I'm just waiting to know when it's safe, so I can go to a beach, which is actually maybe a mile away from me, and just sit down, relax, and get a little more color. And so I personally would like to thank all these people who are out in the streets, not listening to social distancing guidelines, who are probably going to get sick. I'd like to thank them for risking their lives so I can know when it's safe for me to go take in some sun. I hope you enjoy this and have a nice day. What do you think?